Hey, my friend. It is our full moon in Pisces in Sidereal Astrology. We are here to talk about all the things that are happening, like Mercury conjunct Mars, Venus moving into Virgo, and all of these other planets that she's connecting with this week. My friend, this is your Sidereal Astrology Forecast for the week of October 6th through the 12th. We are diving into all things sidereal astrology that are going on this week. Welcome back, my friend, to the Cosmic Mystic, where we blend strategy and soul work to help healers, coaches, and conscious leaders build soul-aligned businesses and lives that fully support their soul mission. My friend, if we have not met, I am Danny Simonis, creator of the Inner Alchemy Method, a 5-stage journey to soul-led sovereignty, where deep healing meets embodied leadership. I love to help high-achieving, introverted, spiritual women reclaim their power, embody their truth, and lead from within. My friend, I have supported hundreds of conscious leaders over the past 12 years in doing the deep soul work, the work that is required to fully live in your highest expression with confidence and love and joy and peace and all the things. So, my friend, these videos are here to guide you not only in the internal and how that's reflected in the outer world, but the outer world and how that is impacting our inner world. And so we get to look at both here. So we are going to dive into this week's astrology, as always, with our state of the planets. If you are returning, hello, my friend. It is great to see you. Thank you so much for coming back each and every week. All right. We have got one other thing as I share my screen here is we have 2 ways for you to get this. That is here on the YouTube channel that has the video that you'll see the charts that I'm going to go through for these different transits. And we also have the podcast, The Cosmic Mystic. Now, the podcast gives you the option of being able to listen on the go, be able to listen to whatever it is that you're going through, whatever it is that you're wherever you're going, whatever you're doing, it is there for you. Now, when we talk about the podcast and the YouTube channel, they both have great other things on them. So if you're somebody that likes to just listen and can take me wherever you need to go or whatever you need to do, then the podcast is great. And you also get our teachings on the Rise and Align series, as well as the weekly interviews that drop on the podcast with other soul-led entrepreneurs and their journey into spirituality. And then on the YouTube channel, you get the Rise and Align teachings as well, but you also get the breath work. You get the somatic breath work where you get to dive in to that aspect and really embody whatever it is that we're embodying in that teaching. So there's 2 different ways with 2 different options. If you just want to listen to the teachings on the go, you got that. And if you want to dive in a little bit deeper, you've got the YouTube channel here, plus a bunch of other things that go on both channels. I've had the channel here, YouTube, for a while, so you'll see past hypnosis, meditations, teachings on here as well. Okay, let's dive in, sharing my screen for our chart here. Okay. So as we dive in here with our current forecast, let's see where everybody is at with our state of the planets. So as we kick off this week, our sun is at 19 degrees Virgo. We can see 19 degrees Virgo here. We've got just another week or so in Virgo. Our Venus energy right here, she's at 26 degrees Leo. She will be moving, as I said at the top of the video. We've also got our South Node here in Leo. Those are conjunct. We've got our Jupiter over here at 28 degrees, almost ready to make that jump into Cancer for its little stint there, as we learned in our October forecast. And just so you know, this is just for the week, right? We've got our October forecast. So In the October forecast, I talked about everything from the broad perspective of what's happening this month. And so you can listen to that October forecast and get all the things that you'll want to know about the entire month as that kind of overview. So you'll hear about why Jupiter is just going to get into Cancer and then not stay there too long. And then we've got Uranus over here retrograde in Taurus, Chiron retrograde in Aries. Our moon kicks off this week in Pisces with that full moon energy. We've also got Neptune here in Pisces, Saturn here in Pisces. Both of those are retrograde. We've got our North Node here in Aquarius, Pluto over here retrograde in Capricorn, Mars in Libra, and Mercury in Libra. All right, let's dive into just a few of the transits I want to talk about with the Sun. We've got two coming in here this week. Number one is coming on Friday on the 10th, and this is the square over here to Jupiter. So the square to Jupiter, what is that? I talked about this in the overview, but square to Jupiter is so optimistic and expansive and just like brings in all the good juju, right? The good luck. It's just such a beautiful, expansive, loving, nurturing in its own way planet, and it's very optimistic, and so it's bringing in that energy for us of optimism, of confidence, of luck. And so there's a lot of really nice energy to just go for it, to just do it. Now, the caution I said here that I have is always taking on too much, especially if we haven't healed those wounds around people pleasing, right? We might want to take on too much. We might want to do too much. And so be mindful of that, because you might be overdoing it or pushing too hard, like to take on more projects. This is how I see it showing up. Saying yes to a bunch of projects, even though you know that you might not have the capacity for all of them, right? Lovingly saying no and not burning out, right? So this could definitely be that. So I want to caution you there. Now, the next one here is going to be on the 12th, which is on Sunday. And this is the Sun opposite Chiron. So you'll see this come in right here. And so where we had the opposition with the moon, which we'll talk about in a second, we now have this opposition with Chiron. So Chiron being our wounds, right? Chiron being our traumas, our past traumas, those are brought to the surface here because the sun is our consciousness. It's what we're consciously thinking about and stepping into, right? That's why every season we shift in the things that we are thinking about. Right now we're in Virgo. We're looking at our routines, our morning routines, our evening routines, the systems and structures we have in our life, right? We're getting back on track from the summer. And so there could be some insecurities that come up around here, unresolved wounds that come up, overcompensating for things. Definitely maybe not feeling appreciated can also come into play. So just some things to think about as those come up. Again, I'm always going to say this. They come up because you're ready to deal with them. You're ready to face them. You're ready to move through them, right? To release them out of your energy. And so they're bringing up. So thank you, Chiron, for bringing them forward so that we can see them and we can move through them, because all of these traumas and wounds and things that are harming us, right? Internally harming us, they're also affecting us in the outer world, right? This is why we might take on too much. This is why we might feel like an outcast or that we don't fit in with something, because we're trying to overcome a wound or a trauma. All right, let's talk about this full moon, because this is a really beautiful full moon in the sense of it is what's called a pure lunar event. A pure lunar event. So what is a pure lunar event, Danny? That means there are no aspects to this full moon. Look, if you're looking at this on YouTube with me, there is no other planets involved. So this is just a very pure, clean energy, right? And so with the idea of the two oppositions of ideas, the spiritual and the material. So we look at this idea of Virgo and Pisces. Virgo is definitely in the realm of systems, structures, the material. It's an earth element, so it's very grounded and very into the 3D, the physical world, where Pisces is of the spiritual world. It's the ethereal. It's what's up in, right, the beyond the veil, what we cannot see. It's not tangible just yet. And so it's allowing these two to come together, because the spiritual helps influence, right, the structures that we have, not the structures, the things that we have in our life. Virgo helps you create the structure for it. So it's almost as if you can look at this as the feminine and the masculine, where the feminine is in that creative, intuitive energy, which is that Pisces energy, and Virgo is the form, the structure that is the masculine, right? We need that form and structure, or everything is just kind of all over the place. And so these two are really bringing that kind of message through. Number one is, how do we bring, or how do we allow those intuitive downloads to influence how we lead our business, how we move through life, right? So how do we allow that in to the tangible? So not just like this great insight, I received this great download, but then now what do I do with it, right? That's where these two are coming together. And so some really great questions to ask, and I have some really great journal prompts for you inside our October lunar journal. It's our lunar shadow work journal. And inside there, I think there's 3 or 4 questions that are both embodiment practices and really coming from the body. So there's somatic journal prompts to help you come through not only what your mind is telling you, but what your body's telling you, which I'm absolutely in love with these questions. So I'd highly recommend downloading that. It's like my favorite journal so far this year, because there's really, really beautiful practices in there as well for you to move through this energy and see what wants to be released, see where you're wanting to go and what wants to be released as you start to connect the spiritual and the ethereal. Okay, let's keep going. Let's keep trucking along. All right, so next on the train, what do we want to call it? The train here. Next on the train is Mercury. So let's talk about Mercury. And we are going to talk about Mercury and Pluto. So Mercury and Pluto, as you can see here on the, actually comes into play on the 3rd. So this was last week. We saw Mercury come in with Pluto. And this has been pretty much since last week, all the way in through the 10th of this week. So about what is it? The 10th is what? Friday, to the end of the week. It's like, wait, what is the dates? What are the dates that we're looking at? So when we're talking about Pluto and Mercury, is we're talking about deep thinking, very much more intense interactions with others. So this is where researching a specific idea or topic would be really, really good. There is the case for getting really extreme into some things. This is also where some conspiracy theories can arise. There is risk of things being very extreme or coercive. I can never say that word. Where like you're being manipulated, right, to express your thoughts. There could be some of that coming in. So just something to look out for. You can also use this energy maybe to influence other people. Pluto is a very influential planet, and so there could be some of that coming through. Definitely want to make sure that you are not on the defense, because you can become very defensive about your thoughts, about your beliefs, and just really like overdo it, where you get more pushy and like trying to force. And so something that I might caution you also on the flip side, right? Somebody might try to come and force something down your belief system, or come at you on that. So just something to consider as you're navigating, your relationships and the interactions that you're having with people. Definitely fight, right? Fight for what you believe in 100%. Also notice where is this getting to a point where I don't need to engage in this anymore, right? And not because I'm backing down, right? I'm freezing or I'm fawning, but because I don't engage in this, right? Like I don't engage in this type of a conversation. So we are going to end that here, right? There could be some of that coming through. So just want to kind of give you that one. And that's going to end on Friday though. So we'll see this for this week. And then the next one is on the 11th, which is on Saturday. And that one is going to be the conjunction here with Mars. So Mars and Mercury are going to be conjunct. I talked about this in the overview through an entire month. It's through the middle of November. And this is where Mars, yes, we have the manipulation kind of energy falling off with Pluto, but Mars is a fighter. And so there is definitely it's like things have kind of stirred up a little bit with Pluto, and now we're coming into Mars. And so it could feel like we're on the defensive. We're having to be in a defense mode, or we're arguing, we're getting into arguments, we're getting triggered by quick things, because Mars is like quick tempered, right? It's gonna go, it's gonna explode, it's gonna move. Now let's talk about this from another perspective, because this conjunction also allows us to get in and really work hard from a mental place. So an increased energy in your mental activity, where you can focus more, where you can attune things much better. There also could be that tendency to go towards that defensive mode, or to be thinking from that defensive mode. So just something to also consider. But you can apply this to work that where you really need to like hone in, or you really need to like get in and focus on things. Mars is like let's go, like right, let's get on in. And it is in the energy of Libra. So I will say this, that Libra is looking for fairness and equality. And so there is that lens here of trying to find that balance, right? Trying to find that harmony. And so, this is also a good invitation for you to look at, how am I, I'm not somebody who likes to get into confrontations, right? It's not something that I like to do. I don't think there's anybody that really, well, maybe there are people that like to do that. But I know that there are some conversations that I'm not going to back down from, right? That I am solid in my position, that I feel very firmly about, that I'm going to stand my ground on. But I'm also going to be open to listening to the other person and try to understand their perspective and where they're coming from and how they've came to those conclusions with whatever they believe, even if it is in opposition to what I believe, right? And so this is where I can balance those two, of being able to have empathy and be open to that other person's belief systems and how they see the world, but also to my own, knowing that this is my position and I'm open to changing it. Like, I am not somebody who is like, this is what it is what it will always be. I'm open to conversation. I'm open to discussion. I'm open to learning something new, right? And so this can also help you in that as well. All right, let's move on to our next planet, which is Venus. So Venus, where are you at, Venus? There she is. And she is going to be moving into Virgo this month. But before she does that, I want to talk about a couple of things. These came in last week. This first one here, which is the sextile over here to Jupiter. And then there's an opposition that comes in on the 7th. So I want to talk about that too before we get into Venus moving into Virgo. I keep wanting to say that. Virgo moving into Venus, Venus moving into Virgo. All right, so we talked earlier about Jupiter being that planet of expansion, right? When we're talking about the sun, we're talking about how it's that planet of expansion and growth and optimism and luck. And so Venus here, she's all about beauty, beauty and love and money. And so she's here like, let's party, let's have some fun, let's share, let's buy people gifts, let's receive gifts, let's give. Like, she wants to socialize, she wants to charm others, she wants to look and feel her best, right? She wants to be with her friends, like she wants to hang out, like she just wants to have fun. And so right here on the 3rd, all the way through the 13th, like she doesn't want to work. She does not want to work. She does not want to get into that vibe. She wants to just have fun. And so you might look at, even if it is something like that you don't really want to do, it's like, how can you make it fun, right? How can you turn on some good music? I did this the other day inside Sacred CEO. We had a visibility lab. And I talked about the different types of visibility that you can have in your business. And then we picked a visibility strategy for the next couple of weeks. And one of the things we did right before we started to do that action, which for some of us could be a little bit challenging, we turned on some music and we danced a little bit. We moved our bodies and raised our vibration. And then I still had a really high vibe music playlist playing as I did the actions just like they did, right? So I was working on my visibility strategy and connecting and reaching out to people, which sometimes can feel, right, a little like, oh, but I was in that place of this is fun and I love this, and creating that energy to do something that maybe isn't like your favorite thing to do or can be a little bit challenging for you. So really shifting the energy around that. And so this is something that you can do these next 10 days or so with that transit. All right, moving on to the next one, which I mentioned was our opposition to Saturn. So that's coming in here on the 7th. There we go. We got that opposition to Saturn. So we start off in these first 4 days or so with this really great vibe with Jupiter, and then Daddy Saturn comes in. Daddy Saturn, gotta love Daddy Saturn. Daddy Saturn comes in, and he can bring a little bit like, are you having fun, or are you actually working? Are you getting things done? Are you working towards your goals, right? Like, is that practical, right? Where you want to go and be generous, and like me, I want to have gatherings, and I want to do all the things. And my love comes in as like, but do you have the time to do all that, right? It's like that practical energy of like, oh yeah, I probably don't have time to make all those things. So what are the things I really, really want to make? And I can go ahead and buy all the other things, right? It's kind of like that. Like I think, oh, I'm gonna make a balloon arch, right? It's like probably not the best idea, right? When you've got all these other things to do. So, and you don't have any help, right? It's just you doing it. So yes, that practical energy of like, okay, Danny, like, is this practical, right? So you want to think of that, like Daddy Saturn's going to come and be very practical about things. He also might delay some things because there's a lesson in there for relationships or self-worth or identity that are wanting to come through. So pay attention, because you might get in a lower kind of mood. It might not feel at your best here, and it might be competing, right? These two ideas of Jupiter wanting to go and have fun, but feeling like, oh, but I really need to stay home and study, right? Or I really need to, I want to go out and read this book, or I want to go take this class, but actually what I really need to do are these practical business building things. And this is something that I think I mentioned in one of my calls with Sacred CEO this week was, yes, we want to do all these fun things, and yes, we want to go and connect and collaborate and all the things. And it's like, what are the 5 things that you did today to make money in your business, right? Like, where's that priority energy there for the things that you're doing, and making those the priority, so then you could go have that fun. And so we can look at that balance here with this opposition. All right, let's talk about Venus in Virgo. That happens on the 9th, so on Thursday here. And she'll be in Virgo all the way through November 12th. So she's gonna be there for about a month. Now, I talked about this in the overview, but Venus in Virgo, like, she's the planet of love and value and attraction and beauty, right? And she's in the sign of service, of refinement, of healing. And so we want to look at this from the place of she's refining things for us, right? So we might have a way of doing something, but she is here to refine it. She is here to make it even more beautiful. And it's like the master craftsperson, right? Who is seeking that perfection through the careful attention to the details, right? The little tiny details. That's what Virgo is so good at doing. So expressing love through more practical ways. Maybe that's acts of service or improving something. So this is where our love for ourselves can really manifest in our daily practices. And so, our first relationship, our best relationship is with ourselves, right? And when we look at that relationship, like how are we doing that in the practical day-to-day ways? And Venus in Virgo is here to really help us establish those routines that honor our mind and our body and our soul. She is here to help us in that conscious service, right? That isn't from a place of people pleasing and trying to prove worth, but being a place of like, I'm giving, like I'm in an I'm overflowing, that I can give from that place, right? So this is a really, really beautiful time. So pay attention to the small practical things that you are doing and how those can lead to the larger vision that you have. This is what we're doing right now in Rise and Align, the experience. We're looking at the practical day-to-day things that we're doing and our energy and our vibration as we step into these that bigger vision, right? Of that bigger vision of who we want to step into, who we want to be. Like, what are the things that we're doing on the day-to-day, and how are we managing our energy in that way? All right, next on the list is Venus is going to hit these three planets coming right here on the 9th and the 10th. And so I want to talk about all of them just kind of as a whole, because she is connecting to a lot, right? She's got that sextile over here to Jupiter. She's got the trine over here to Uranus. She's got this opposition over here with Saturn that we talked about, but also now an opposition over here to Neptune, and she's got this trine over here to Pluto. So let's talk about this Neptune energy, right? That's coinciding with the Saturn energy, and then we'll talk about the Uranus and Pluto. So Uranus, Neptune, first off, is the planet of escaping reality. It is that intuitive energy. It is the energy also of ending, and kind of bringing things to an end. And so this is where a lot of like dream work energy comes in, our spiritual practices, our rituals, the things that we do here, right? In that realm. Problems can occur though in relationships and finances. And here's where I want to kind of bring this in. And this is through the 18th, my friend, because things can get a little cloudy, a little foggy here, where we can't quite see things clearly. And so we could be gullible to things. We could fall victim to things. We might be trying to experiment with things, and it might not quite work out. And so this is where I always want to say clarity is the best thing you could possibly do, is to be clear, and clear is kind, right? Clear is kind. So being very clear about what you think about something or what you believe about something. And when I say that, being clear of how you feel about something, not in that what the person did, but what you feel, how you feel about the thing, what it brought up in you, right? Now, let's talk about these trines with Venus and Pluto and Uranus. So with Pluto, there's an intensity here and passion here, right? He's bringing in that really intense love and passion. And so for in a relationship, this might, deepen that love and deepen that affection. It can also deepen our creativity and our artistry in the things that we're doing. And so it can bring a lot of that creativity energy out as well. This is an obsession here. There is obsessive energy here. So we could get a little obsessive, especially whether we're obsessed about a habit, obsessed about a practice, obsessed about a belief. There could be some of that coming in, or obsession about, filling a need through drugs or alcohol or through shopping, right? And there's that obsession because we're trying to feel something, we're trying to feel a need or some desire. So that could be coming into play. Now with Uranus loves to shake things up. And so we're trying something, we're wanting this intense passion, we're wanting this really deep love and affection, and Uranus wants to shake things up. It wants to try something new. It wants to do something different. And so there's like experimentation here. We're trying something, right? Where maybe we're trying a new look. Maybe we're looking for a new look because that's how we're trying to fulfill that need of love and affection. And if that's the case, then what are we doing, right? We're buying things and we're trying on new things, this new look, right, that we want to have. So something, my friend, pay attention to these things. These things happen. I see it all the time where somebody just goes and changes their look, right, because they're trying to fulfill a need of some sort. So be just something to be mindful of is all I am, right? All I am is trying to do is bring these things to your awareness. All right, my friend, that is our Sidereal Astrology Forecast for the week of October 6th through the 12th. Now, before we wrap up, I mentioned the October Lunar Journal, the Lunar Shadow Work Journal. I added that in last month, and then I have been just improving upon it, and I absolutely love this journal. I'm actually thinking of creating one that's just, you can use universally, that you can just download anytime and just use it, whatever, depending on whatever is happening in our sky. But right now, I currently do create it for each particular month, with each particular transit. And so I thought I'd take a moment right here to share that with you so you can get a glimpse inside of what it looks like. So here we are. This is our October 2025 Lunar Shadow Work Journal. And you'll see as we go through this, and I'm just going to kind of go through this to show you some of the things, we have all of the major transits that are happening this month, right? All right here for you on one page so that you can see what is happening and when it's happening. We've also got this broken down by week so you can see what transits are happening, and gives you an opportunity to go in and do some journaling and some practicing with each of these aspects. You can see each one has its own practice. It has its own journal prompts. It has its own thing that you can do for each of these major transits. So this one right here, looking at authority and power with that Pluto going direct. There's a ritual in here for you to do. There's the new moon in Libra and some intention setting energy that you can create your intention here, as well as a ritual that you can do. My friend, this is all here for you for this month. If you are somebody who is into learning more about yourself, wants to really dive deeper into these energies, into these transits that you can use this month, then definitely check out our October Lunar Shadow Work Journal. It's absolutely free. All you got to do is just download it. So you can go to thepeaceteacher.com/lunar journal. You'll also see it down in our description and show notes. All right, my friend, that is it for us today. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your day. Have a beautiful week. Be sure you are subscribed and follow the podcast, and we'll see you next time. Until then, my friend, remember to keep shining your unique light.